Ladies and gentlemen, Gears of War is finally back in full force. Gears of War E-Day has been announced and the trailer is absolutely amazing. But we gotta break this trailer down and dissect all the lore details. So as always, I'm your host Abz, and here is my ultimate lore breakdown of the Gears of War E-Day trailer. Firstly, I'm going to let the trailer play and then we will break everything down. So without further ado, let's get into this. Wow, man, I still cannot get over that trailer. I'm gonna keep watching it and keep watching it until this game releases. Anyway, let's break it all down. Let's do this. The trailer begins with a shot of the floor, showing a newspaper that has fallen to the floor. This newspaper reads, "UIR surrender. War is over." The pendulum wars between the Coalition of Ordered Governments and the Union of Independent Republics was finally over after 79 years of conflict, with the UIR signing an armistice, surrendering and ending the war in the COG's favour. We see more shots of this house. On the TV there is a message from the COG. Civil emergency message. Kelowna District. Follow safety protocols. Proceed to the nearest shelter. Kelowna District is probably a city, I assume. This is an emergency, and the civilians are being advised to get to safety. But what for? Isn't the pendulum wars over? On the wall we see a welcome home banner. This would be for a returning COG gear, but I don't think it's Marcus or Dom's house. There's a bunch of pounding noises, and then Marcus gets thrown through the goddamn wall of the house by the menacing Locust drone, with his retro lancer slipping under the sofa, out of reach. Emergence Day had officially begun. No gear or Siren had ever witnessed anything like this before. Marcus had never fought anything like this monstrous threat before. These weren't the Indies, but a monstrous, genocidal, subterranean race. But this is Marcus Fenix on Emergence Day. He is much younger and less battle hardened compared to how we see him in the Gears of War trilogy. He's around 21 or 22 years old. He tries to fight back, but he just gets smacked by the Locust, which dazes him. Now this actually gives him one of his scars, which is a crazy attention to detail that I gotta applaud. The scar is on his top lip, but we'll get a better shot of that as the trailer progresses. Marcus tries to reach for the Lancer Mark I, or Retro Lancer as we mainly know it by, but the Locust drone stomps on Marcus's hand, as Marcus yells in agony. He kicks the drone away and grunts towards the Retro Lancer, but the Locust drone grabs him and literally tosses him to the other side of the room, which is freaking crazy. Honestly, I absolutely love how they put the Locust drones over as this formidable force, and not as cannon fodder as how they later became in the trilogy. Because let's not forget, the Locust drones are bloodthirsty and merciless super soldiers. They are bred for combat and are a living nightmare, even for Gear soldiers. Marcus is in pain and gets thrown again, this time over the sofa and against the other side of the room against the wall. Marcus tries to grab anything he possibly can to assist him, and on the shelf there's a little Thrashball Cole figure, which is a nice touch, as the Coltrane during this time was still a Thrashball player and was adored by so many Sairens. But the Coltrane joined the COG military shortly after Emergence Day. And on the shelf you could also see a COG action figure as well, which was really cool. You can actually see the upper lip scar here really well, given to him by his first battle against the Locust. The Locust drone charges towards him and swats the sofa away like it's nothing. Marcus reaches over and grabs the television and cracks it over the Locust drone's head, with the TV glass smashing in the drone's face. Marcus sees that the Locust drone is dazed, and he slides towards the Retro Lancer, which is in the middle of the room. It's actually quite interesting that he slid towards it. Could this be one of the new movement features coming in Gears E-Day? Maybe. I think that's really cool, and food for thought. Marcus tries to shoot the drone, but the drone parries the gun and forces the Retro to shoot upwards, towards the ceiling and everywhere else. The drone hits Marcus and literally lifts him up onto the ceiling, like freaking holy shit. The Coalition said that they transformed the drone into something fearsome, physically intimidating, and utterly brutal. They said that getting the drone right was crucial. Everything else with the Locust, they're scaling up from there, which is freaking insane. But to me, it absolutely makes sense, as the drones are the bread and butter of the Locust Horde. They are the bulk of the army, and they go toe to toe with the Gears. But when you look at the Locust drone, they have a completely different, more vicious and terrifying look, which honestly I don't mind at all. I think it looks freaking insane. It's definitely different as well as the armor as well, but I don't mind it at all. Marcus's durag falls off, and this is actually really poetic as this is the first time he is seen without it, apart from the ending of Gears of War 3, which is 17 years after Emergence Day. So him having that durag on for 17 damn years in the Locust War, and it only coming off at the start and the end of the war, is absolute cinema in my books. Marcus's cog tags dangle as the ceiling literally starts crumbling as the drone presses him against it, but Marcus fights back. He needs the Locust drone, but the drone presses up against him with its own Retro Lancer's knife bayonet. Now in this shot you can see clearly that Marcus doesn't have his iconic scar. Of course this is because at this point in the timeline he didn't have that scar, as he got it when he was in the slab prison 10 years later. This was when a freaking dog mauled half of his face. Literally, it never ends for Marcus. Anyway, the bayonet gets stuck in the wall and Marcus elbows then headbutts the Locust, signalling to perhaps more melee combat features in the game as well, I'm guessing. But the Locust drone is dazed again, but literally charges back towards Marcus. But Marcus cleverly unclips the bayonet from the wall, because the knife bayonet on the Retro had a clip, so at times it could be detached and used as an all-purpose survival knife. For instance, using it against the UIR soldiers during the Pendulum Wars. But the Locust drones, they were different. They were 6'7", vicious, super soldier, humanoid subterranean creatures, never seen before. The tough hides of the Locust creatures were not penetrable, only with enough distance and brute force, so the Gears got their asses handed to them in close quarters combat against the Locust, until the Lancer Chainsaw, or Lancer Mark II, was introduced a few weeks after Emergence Day, when Marcus was battling with the Locust drone, and Ty saved him by coming from behind and slicing the drone in half with the power saw. Ty said that the world was full of weapons, waiting to be used, and this led to Marcus recommending to his father, Adam Fenix, to replace the bayonet with the chainsaw. But the Locust drone got up in Marcus's face again, but this time Marcus was able to shoot, and he headshotted the Locust, putting an end to the living nightmare. The trailer gives a shot of the headless Locust drone with all the blood, and I gotta say, the gore is back baby, nothing but bits, got some on me. But Marcus has blood all over him and sighs in relief. But we hear rumbling, the floorboards start cracking, and just before you know it, the floor collapses, with the dead Locust drone falling into the hole, with Marcus clinging onto a pipe for his dear life. We also get a nice shot of Marcus's armor here, which to me doesn't really look like the Omega Squad Marcus armor, but more like the OG armor, seen in Gears 1, with a different art style I guess, but it still gives its own feel, which I freaking love. Everything crumbles into the abyss. The hole was most likely caused by a corpse tunnel, as they burrowed their way onto the surface for emergence day. But that was the thing about the Locust Horde, they could emerge from their e-holes at any goddamn given time, which is why the cogs struggled to fight them. How do you even prepare for an enemy that can pop up out of nowhere at any given time without any warning? It's like the monsters under the bed that can pop out at any moment. The pipe begins to bend due to Marcus's whole body weight, but an arm reaches out, and who else but Dominic Santiago, our brother. As the Mad World piano notes hit, so poetic, and hits you right in the feels, man. Dom helps Marcus up, and this shot is a great callback to the Gears of War 2 The Last Day trailer. Honestly, the little details in this trailer are awesome. Dom hands Marcus his durag. Dom, looking younger as he was 21 when Emergence Day happened, but he does look a little different due to the art style, which is totally fine. He isn't gonna look battle hardened like he did in the trilogy, and as you can see, Dom has his OG armor and his retro lancer. Marcus ties his durag back on. The two brothers look on towards the city of Kelowna, I believe, as Sarah begins to fall apart, with corpses emerging and parts of Kelowna city falling into the ground. The shot of the city isn't there just for the sake of it, in my opinion. I believe it's foreshadowing that in game we will be defending some of these places, like the bridge and the towers on the left. Urban warfare is gonna be insane. I think it could show shades of open world, but it may be more linear, and the city would be falling apart in front of our very eyes, and on Unreal Engine 5 is gonna be insane. Sirens are wailing, and King Ravens are in the sky, as the Mad World piano keeps playing. It really is a mad world, with humanity now at the brink of extinction. Marcus and Dom, brothers to the end. Gears of War E-Day, with the music sounding like it's the Hope Runs Deep vocals, but with a more eerie, creepy feel. To give you a few more details, this game is from the perspectives of younger Marcus and Dom in 0 AE, which is basically the new timeline where Emergence Day takes place. They are both seasoned veterans of the Pendulum Wars, but they don't have the exact same bond that they have in the trilogy. They are at the early stages of their brotherhood, and were connected through Dom's older brother, Carlos Santiago, who was Marcus's best friend all the way from childhood, but he also served with him, but Carlos died on the battlefield in the Pendulum Wars. So this is the origin story of Marcus and Dom and their bond. The bond that defines the franchise. The goats are back, brothers to the end. But this is the start of the Locust War, so they will be a lot more vulnerable as they navigate their way to try and survive this unforeseen horror. They have to learn to deal with this formidable threat before it's too late. And that, my friends, is my full lore breakdown of the Gears of War E-Day trailer. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that bell because we're going into overdrive with the Gears content. I can't wait. And a big special thank you to the YouTube and Patreon members as well. Honestly, thank you so much as always. I'm your host Abz, and I'll catch you guys next time.